Good morning. Let's start the session. So last session we discussed about working with forms. So we started learning about forms and form related few important attributes. So form element and form element related attributes. So form element and its attributes. So important attributes. So what we have learned, major attributes. So usually form have a method and form have action and form have no validate. These are the three major options. We discussed what is difference between a get and post method. We learned about so what is no validate and why we need a no validate. So now after understanding the form container, now we have to learn about form elements. What are the form elements? In the form elements, first we are going to learn about text box. Text box and text box related attributes, how to work with them, how to deal with them, we will see. First, we need to understand the purpose of text box. So text box. Yeah, we don't have any restriction for cameras. People should have little common sense in turning on and off their cameras. We don't have any restriction for cameras. Use your common sense and turn off your cameras. To turn off cameras, you need little bit common sense, not an option for turning off camera. So if you are disturbing others, then next time I will remove you from the class. If anyone turned on their cameras, I will remove them from the class. Simple. Okay. Right. I will do simple thing. I will remove them from the class permanently if they again turn on the cameras. Okay. Who is that? Just let me know the ID of that guy or girl. We will simply remove them. They will disturb. Okay, fine. Let's continue. So while working with form elements, we have to understand about first text box. Generally, what is the purpose of text box and how to deal with the text box? So how we can work with the text box? Let's see. Actually, the purpose of text box is it allows to view, input and edit text. Text box main purpose is it allows to view, input and edit text. Actually, it can handle a string. String is nothing but usually string means group of characters. So group of characters means alphabet. So number, numeric and the symbols. It can have alphabet, numbers and symbols. Better to say not symbols, special characters. It cannot handle symbols, special characters. So text box allows to view, input and edit text. It can handle a string actually. And how to design a text box? To design a text box, you need an input element. Input type is equal to text. Input type is equal to text. It will define a text box. So let's see how we can design text box. I am designing a form, simple form here. And in the form, I will create a data list. And in that, I will keep a data term. And here I will define some user name. Now I will put a data definition. I want to allow the input of username. So that means user must able to enter the name. Then we will give here input type is equal to text. Input type is equal to text. It will put a text box. You can see it gives a text box. Now in the text box, you can input alphabets, you can input numbers, you can input special characters. Generally, we call it as a string. It allows to input all these values. So what are the attributes for text box? Text box have a lot of attributes. What are attributes for text box? We will see. So many attributes are there. We have to learn one by one. What are the basic attributes for text box? First one, we have name, we have ID and class. These three I told you, these are common for every element. For every element, we have an ID, name and class. For reference, you can give that. So it's common. So these three will be common for every element, ID, name and class. But what you have to know is, so very important is, form will not submit value of any element. It will not submit value of any element if it is not defined with a name. If it is not defined with a name. So very important, name attribute is mandatory for element in a form. For element in a form, it's very much important, and it is mandatory for element in a form. Name is important. ID, class are not important. For example, see, observe here. Every element must have name. See, this is a form. Inside the form, we are having a text box. And to submit form, we need a button. Initially, I will put a button called register. Observe carefully. I am entering some name inside the form and click on register button. When I click on register button, form is submitted. But you see, in the URL, there is a question mark and empty. The name I entered is not submitted. The name I entered is not submitted. In the URL, it is empty. It is not submitting the value of text box. So every element must have a name in order to submit its value. To submit the value, you have to make sure that it is having a name. Try with ID and class. Suppose I am giving ID as username, class as some user hyphen name. I give an ID and class and save this and type some name and click on register. Form is submitted, but still value is not submitted. Value is not submitted. So every element must have a name. When I give name, so here I give the name as username. So now you can see, you can remove ID and classes. You have name, and I entered some name and click on register. You can see it submits the name. In the URL, you can see it submits the name. Not only on get request, on post request or get request, if you want the value of any element to submit, you have to make sure that that element is having a name. It's mandatory. Without name, it cannot submit the value of that element. So it is mandatory that it should have a reference name. It should have a reference name. So configured and defined. So that is reference name, how we can have a reference name. So generally, so for any element inside the form, name is mandatory. So ID and classes, I told you, you will learn while learning about styles and other options, you will understand about that. Next important attribute, we have value. Value indicates the default value to display in text box. It indicates the default value to display in text box. For that, we have to use value. Value indicates the default value to display text box. Actually, you can see here, you can see the value is empty. Whenever the form opens, it is empty, nothing is there. So it is not having any value. We want some value by default. If you want some value by default, you can put that by using value. For example, I will go here and put value. And here I will say as your full name. Like this, some value I am giving. And you can see that, so that is the value displayed by default. And if you want, you can remove that value and you can type your own value. But whenever the page opens, whenever the page opens and whenever the page refresh, you can see that it gets the default value. You can keep any value. So that means you can keep any value here and it uses that value as default value. So you can submit that value. I click on register, it submits that value. After submitting, again when page loads, it will have that default value. So it allows you to submit the value and it is the default value to display. If you want, you can change it. I entered David and I click on register, then it will submit that value. After submitting the value, you see the value is submitted. After submitting, again the page will load. Whenever page loads, again default value will come. So value indicates what is the default value you want to display. What default value you want to display, you can specify by using value. So we have name, ID, class, value. Next important attribute. So we have placeholder. Placeholder is nothing but it indicates the watermark text. So it indicates the watermark text to display in text box. The watermark text to display in text box. What is the watermark text to display in text box? That we can define by using placeholder. Placeholder is nothing but, you can see here, suppose value is the value which submits. Suppose I am removing it and I am keeping a placeholder. In the placeholder, I am saying name in block letters. Like this, I define. Now you can see the placeholder will show the text in watermark text. You can see it displays the watermark text. It will display the watermark text. And you can see this is the watermark text. That is the watermark text. That name in block letters. The text will be displayed until or unless you have some value inside it. That means if I type some value, the watermark text will be displayed. And if there is no value, then the placeholder is displayed. Now, when I click on submit, it will submit empty. Placeholder is not submitted. It is submitting empty. So placeholder is just watermark text. It is not going to submit the value. It is not going to submit the value. So it is just displaying the value. So that is just for hints. So we can use this placeholder. Later in CSS, you will learn how to change the placeholder color, placeholder related effects and all. You will able to understand. You can change them actually. You will learn later. Initially, that is the purpose of placeholder. So placeholder indicates the watermark text to display. What watermark text you want to display? Remember, you cannot try both value and placeholder, because if value is there, placeholder cannot be there. Suppose sometimes you may come with a blind practice, like you put a value John and you put a placeholder. Now you can come with a complaint that placeholder is not coming. Obviously placeholder will not come if there is value. If we don't have any value, then placeholder will display. If there is some value by default you kept inside it and you try to use placeholder also, placeholder will not display until the value is removed. So placeholder is just the watermark text. It is used for tips. So it is used for some warnings to display before people enter any value inside it. For that, you need a placeholder. We can configure a placeholder. So syntactically, we write like this. So syntactically, we define input type is equal to text and the name is equal to some username, and the placeholder is equal to some name in block letters, something like this. That's how we can define placeholder. So value indicates the default value and placeholder indicates the watermark text to display. Next, important. So for text box is having a lot of attributes. We are going to learn all of them one by one. Next important attribute, we have read only and disabled. This is very important. In many interviews, they may ask you the question, the difference between read only and disabled. What is difference between read only and disabled? Actually, you see here read only and disabled. Suppose, so we have a text box. In this text box, so we kept some value. The value is John. Actually, we can change that value. I can remove that and I can change value. So I can change the value. You can see it is able to change the value. We can change the value. So technically, so we can change the value and configure the value. Okay. Now you can change the value. So technically we can change the value. So if you don't want to allow to change the value, then what you have to do is, so you can keep it read only. Read only means it will not allow. So it will not allow to change. It will not allow to change the value, but can submit the value. submit the value. It will not allow to change the value, but can submit the value. That means if I give read only, suppose I given read only, I already told you there is no order for attributes. You can write any attribute anywhere inside this. There is no order for that. So I kept read only. You see that when I say read only, you have the username John. I'm trying to modify. It's not working. So it's not working. You can see I cannot modify. It's not working. But when I click on register, that value is submitted. You can see that John is submitted. So the value is submitted. You cannot modify. But that value will be used by your form. So it is able to submit the value and display the value. So it can able to submit the value, but it cannot be modified. That is what actually read only is. Disabled is not like that. So it will disable the element. So form cannot submit the value of any disabled element. So what is difference between read only and disabled? Read only will allow to change, but it will not allow to change, but it can submit. Disabled will not allow to change and it will not submit also. So that means you can see, suppose instead of read only, I am giving disabled. Now you can see that. So it is disabled. That text box is disabled. So, and if I try to submit the value, see, I click on register, it's not submitting. It is just showing an empty question mark. It is not submitting that username. That means the element is disabled. It will not submit its value. Generally, what we do is many times in the real world development process, what we want is we want some value to display when user wants to see it. But when user submits it, we don't want to collect it. So we want to show it, but we don't want to collect it. We don't want to submit it. Then what we do is we will show in disabled state. If you show in disabled state, then that value can be viewed, but it cannot be submitted. It can be viewed, but it cannot be submitted. So that is the difference between read only and disabled. Read only will not allow to change, but can submit the value. Disabled, it will disable the element, so form cannot submit the value of any disabled element. So that is the difference between read only and disabled. How you can configure read only and disable. So that is generally when you are dealing with the text boxes. So disabled can be used not only for text box, other elements also. I will show you. You can disable a button, you can disable other elements also. We will see about that. So initially we are learning with regard to text box. So how to handle it. So value, placeholder, read only, disabled. Next important attribute is size. Size is nothing but it defines the width of text box. Size defines the width of text box. So default size is 20. Default size is 20. It defines the width of text box, and the default size is 20. So for example, according to the content, suppose here we are asking another data term, some card number. So, or say pin number, pin. So I defined as pin. So here I am specifying a text box. Input type is equal to text. Now name is equal to pin. Okay. And you can see this text box looks normal like other text box on. But I want to change the width of text box. With the styles you can change, but in HTML you can give size equal to some 4. then it will changes the width of text box to 4. But don't think that it will allow 4 characters. It's not like that. It's only width adjusted for 4. You can enter more than 4 characters. You can enter any number of characters into it. It is just the width of text box change. Width of text box change. How to allow only 4 characters? These are other options. Initially, this is only width. It defines the width of text box. And if I give here the width as 20, I given the size as 20. You see, it is the default size. 20 is the default size. You can give the size some 60. Now you can see it is larger. Suppose you are accepting some lengthy names, lengthy numbers, then you can increase the size. So that you can configure by using the size attribute. So it defines the width of the text box. Size defines the width of text box. So you can configure the width by using size. So syntactically, for few options, I'm giving here syntactically input type is equal to text. So name is equal to pin, and the size I can give it some like 4. That's how we define the size. So while defining the text box, these are some important attributes. Next important attribute is autofocus. Autofocus. Autofocus is nothing but it sets focus. It sets focus to text box automatically on page load. It sets focus to text box automatically on page load. For example, you see here, so when we are working with the text box, so what will happen here? Observe carefully here. So suppose I will enable other text box also. Okay. Now you see, generally we have 2 text boxes. One username text box, another pin text box. Sometimes when using the form, what will happen is you opened a website. After opening the website, usually you can observe one problem that you regularly face. Sometimes what you do is, in order to use the form, actually you have to click inside any element in the form. So that means you have to click inside username, or you have to click inside pin. You have to click inside them in order to start typing. But sometimes what happens, we forget to click inside it, and somewhere cursor is present in the address bar or somewhere, and we started typing, then automatically types in the address bar. This type of problem regularly comes. So we regularly see this problem. So that means we forgot to click in the form, and it cursor is somewhere else, and you started typing, suddenly it start typing somewhere in the URL. That type of issue will come. That's the reason whenever a form is opened, automatically we can make cursor wait at any text box. So what you can do is you can simply set here autofocus. But remember, autofocus can be set to any one element only. If you give autofocus to all elements, see, I give an autofocus to pin, then automatically cursor blinks in pin. If I give autofocus for both of them, it cannot happen. That is the reason automatically it will take only for the first one. That means automatically cursor starts blinking in that location, so that you can start using it. Cursor starts blinking at that location, you can start using it. So that is what actually autofocus is. Usually autofocus gets focus so that you can start typing from there. So whenever the page loads, it will get focus. You cannot give autofocus to multiple elements. So autofocus can be set to only any one element. Even if you give for multiple elements, it will apply only to the first element. It will set focus only to the first element. So better always give only to one element autofocus, so that automatically cursor focus goes there. Automatically it get focus into that location. So that is autofocus, another option, autofocus. Next important attribute for the text box, we have an attribute called min length and max length. Min length indicates, that means it validates the minimum number of characters. It validates the minimum number of characters that can be entered, minimum number of characters that can be entered into text box. So it validates the minimum number of characters that can be entered into text box. And the max length, it restricts the maximum number of characters, that can be entered, so into text box. So min length and max length are used for validating. For example, for username, you see, for username, I am giving here min length is equal to 4. And if I give min length equal to 4, it validates 4. Observe carefully now. So I am typing name, some name is entered. And after that, I click on register, I try to submit, then it shows an error. And the error says that please lengthen the text to 4 characters. So, or more, you are currently using 3 characters, because according to the validation, so it will not submit the form. It will not submit the form until or unless it is valid. You have to make sure that you have submitted the form. So you need to make sure that the form is submitted with valid values. So if I entered 3 and click register, it's not working. I entered 4 and click register. Now it's working. It is able to submit. You can restrict the number of characters, minimum number of characters. So that is min length. You can restrict max length also. We have to use max length is equal to 10. If I give max length 10, the advantage is it will not allow to enter more than 10 characters now. That means you see here, I am allowing, suppose for pin. So here for pin also, I am not giving minimum, I am giving so max. I can give like this, min length is equal to 4, max length is also 4. I am defining max length is also 4. That means it will allow exactly 4 characters. Now you see here, I entered the username and I am trying to enter the username 2 characters. It's not allowing. So David, 4 characters. Now it is allowing, but if I try to enter more than 10 characters, it's stopped. After 10 characters, it's stopped. After 10 characters, it is not allowing to type more. It's a stop. That means it's not allowing to type more characters. So it restricts for 10. Similarly, for pin, you can enter 4 characters. And if you entered less than 4 characters, then it says please lengthen to 4. And you try to enter more than 4, it's not typing. It's not allowing to type more than 4 characters. So we have restriction for the number of characters to enter. So we can do that by using the min length and the max length. If both are correct, then only it can submit the value. That is actually min length and max length. So syntactically, we write like this. So input type is equal to pin, text. Name is equal to pin. And the min length is equal to 4 characters. And max length is also 4 characters. You can give same. Or you can say min length 4 characters, max length 10 characters. If you give min and max length as 4 characters, then it will allow exactly only 4 characters. Anything else is not supported. That is generally how we can handle the validation, how you can configure the validation and define the validation. So technically, so the basic validation for min length and max length can be defined by using these two attributes, min length and max length. Next important attribute for text box, we have required attribute. Required. Actually, required attribute, it is used to verify. So verify and ensure that text box is having a value. Text box is having a value and it is not empty. It is not empty. So that means actually it is used for mandatory fields. Required is used for mandatory fields. We can use required for mandatory fields. So that means, so I go here and I write, as of now, username and PIN are present, but observe carefully, without entering username and without entering the PIN, I am not entering username and PIN. I click on register. It is submitting the form. It is submitting the form. And you can see that username is empty, and PIN is also empty. Username empty and PIN is also empty. So it is submitting the form. Even if you don't have value inside it. So I don't want to submit empty. I want both mandatory. So username is mandatory, PIN is mandatory, or anyone mandatory. Anyone mandatory means either username or PIN, your wish. Suppose I want both mandatory, then for both fields, you can just add an attribute that is required. You can add an attribute required. If I give required for all of them, it will verify one after another. That means it will verify the first one. After verifying the first one, it will go to the second one. So it will verify one after another. It will not verify all at a time. It is going to verify one after another. So the details are verified one after another. So let's see here. So I given required for both. And when I refresh here, so I refresh here and click on register without entering anything. Then you see it says, please fill out this field. So username is required. It says, please fill out the field. Now, many times people have a question like, can I change that message? Yes, you can change the message, but for that you have to know about JavaScript and jQuery and CSS. Through JavaScript and jQuery, you can change the message and you can keep your own messages. By saying that username required, please provide a name. So instead of showing the message like this is default message. If you want, you can change the message. How we can change the message, you will learn in JavaScript and all, how to handle them. So initially, so this is how we can configure and we can define. Now, when I entered name, David is entered, okay. So it can have multiple validation. If I entered 3 characters only, it will show another validation saying that please lengthen the text to 4 characters. So I entered minimum 4 characters. Now click on register. Now it will verify the PIN. It says, please fill out this field. So that means all fields can be defined as required. It will not verify all at a time. It will verify one after another. It is going to verify one after another and specify one after another. So it is going to handle that. So now, so you entered the PIN also, some 4 characters, and click on register. Now it submits the value to you. So form can submit the value that is required. So syntactically, how you define? So we have to just use the option input type is equal to text and name is equal to some PIN, and we can just give required. Required indicates that that field is mandatory and you cannot leave it empty. There must be some value before you submit the form. that you can manage by using the required attribute. Next important attribute. So in the text box, remember, these are all the basic attributes that you are learning related to text box. Currently, you are learning only one element. For passwords, for numbers, for range, different options are there. We are going to discuss about them. Initially, these are for text box. Some are used for others also, which you will learn. Value, placeholder, read only, disabled, size, autofocus, min length, max length, required. Another important attribute, we have pattern. Pattern is a very big concept. I will explain this in a separate session. In a separate session, at the end of HTML, I will discuss about that, because this requires some more JavaScript based programming skill also. But I will explain what is pattern, how to handle it at the end of HTML. Because at the end of HTML forms, I will tell you about pattern. So while learning about forms, because this topic is same in any technology, you learn in HTML perfectly, you can handle in the same way in JavaScript, jQuery, Angular, React, Vue, any technology, server side, client side related to web, they have to use the patterns in the same way. So I will give you a complete idea about patterns in a separate session. After we finished the concept of forms, we will discuss. As of now, I will just give you one point, sample point. Actually, pattern, it is used to verify the format of input value. It is used to verify the format of input value. Actually, it uses a regular expression. What is regular expression? How to write regular expressions? I will tell you. We will discuss about that in a separate session. As of now, I will just give you a sample, simple sample. Others we will discuss later detailedly. So just a sample I will show. Regular expression is nothing but, for example, I want to allow only uppercase letters. Then we can write like this in the square brace A-Z. This indicates only uppercase letters. So, and how many? So we can put in a curly brace. How many? 4, 10. This indicates minimum 4, maximum 10. Suppose I given like A-Z, or I say 0-9. That means only numbers. Suppose I say 10. Only numbers, exactly 10 digits only allowed. Like that, we can define validation. Later, you are going to learn different types of validation patterns. I will give you a complete session of that, because it will take at least 2-3 sessions to understand the complete concept. So that we will discuss in a separate session. So because this you have to use everywhere in the web technologies, in any advanced location also, like Angular, like React, or like Vue, or some other technologies. Everywhere you have to use this pattern. So we will learn perfectly about that in a separate session at the end of forms, at the HTML forms. As of now, this is called regular expression. We can write such regular expression to validate the value. For example, suppose I already told you, we will learn other expressions, how to build the expressions detailedly later. Just observe here. Suppose I am asking mobile, and as per the basic standards, I am asking input type is equal to text. I want to allow the name I given as mobile. I want to allow only 10 digits number. Anything other than 10 digits, it should not allow. Greater than 10 digits, it should not allow. Less than 10 digits, it should not allow. It should allow exactly 10 digits number. Later, we can write that it should start with +91, it should start with 8 or 7, something like that. As of now, how you can validate that? You can use a pattern. We can use a pattern. In the pattern, I am writing here in the square brace 0-9. 0-9 indicates, so it indicates that it allows only number. how to allow numbers, string, how to allow both number and string, how to allow both number, string and symbols. We will discuss in that pattern concept. So because generally you will see this in passwords and all, everywhere you will learn about it, I will explain that. That means sometimes you see websites will ask that password must have at least one uppercase letter, password must have at least one special character. All such things are done by using patterns only. For that you have to learn a lot of things. As of now, this indicates only number allowed. But how many numbers allowed? It is actually one digit number allowed. But if you want to allow the numbers exactly 10, then you can write here 10 digits, 10. Suppose I say 4 comma 10, then it indicates minimum 4, maximum 10. That means you can put a number between 4 to 10 digits. So, but I want exactly 10 digits, then you can write 10. Then it will not allow anything else. Observe carefully now. I am having another option here. I am entering username. I am entering the PIN. I am entering mobile. In the mobile, I said 99876543221. So that is 9 digits number. Click register. It says please match the requested format. It is asking that please match the requested format. Please match the requested format. You have to make sure that you entered exactly 10 digits. Now exactly 10 digits, then it is working fine. It is submitted. The mobile number is submitted. If you are not entering that, then it will say please match the pattern. You can use for name also. For example, I want to name 4 to 10 characters, uppercase letters only. Then I can add a pattern like this. You see, I'm adding a pattern A-Z, so 4 comma 10. That means only uppercase letters, 4 to 10 characters. You see now, I'm adding, so David. So now you click on submit. It is having 4 characters. So, but when you click register, it says please match the requested format. And what is that requested format? Requested format is only uppercase letters, minimum 4 to 10 characters. That means I am writing here David, uppercase letters, minimum 4 characters. If I don't write 4 characters, then another error will come saying that please match the requested format. So why? Because according to the format, minimum 4 characters are required. Okay. Now it is fine. I click on register. It allows to submit. PIN also required. We will enter PIN and click submit, and you can see it submits it. So later you are going to learn how to write these patterns for various situations, for allowing alphanumeric, for verifying passwords, for verifying mobile with certain patterns, bank IFSC codes, so several patterns. So we can write that by using regular expression, and regular expressions are written by using patterns. Later you are going to learn those detailed regular expressions. Syntactically, I will give a simple example. So you can write like input type is equal to text, and the name is equal to suppose mobile, and here we said pattern is equal to so 0-9. This indicates only number, and 10, this indicates exactly 10 digits number. Or we can write like this. So input type is equal to text. And the name is equal to some username. And here pattern, I am defining the pattern as so A-Z. That means only uppercase letters, 4 comma 10. That means minimum 4 and maximum 10. How we can define? That is validating and configuring the patterns. So for text box, so you have an attribute called pattern. The pattern attribute is used to verify. So it is used to verify. So the format of input value, which so many conditions are there which you have to learn in a separate session. That is pattern. Another important attribute for text box, we have list. Actually, list, it is used to define a data list. It is used to define a data list. Data list means data list tag. It is used to define a data list. What is the data list? I will tell you. It is not DL. DL is different. That is another data list. This is form data list. It is used to define a data list for text box, which contains options to display as autocomplete. What does that mean? I will show you. So it is used to define a data list, and it is used to define a data list for text box which contain options to display as autocomplete. Autocomplete means, observe carefully here. You see, when I am entering the username, carefully you can observe that. When I'm entering the username, I click inside the username text box. Some names already came. You can see the names called David, lowercase, David, uppercase. This is actually coming from your browser history. It is coming from browser history. If I clean browser history, this will be deleted. If I clean browser history, this will be deleted. If you clean browser history, this will be deleted. So it is coming from browser history. And if you clean from browser history, it is gone. Now you see, I click the delete button beside it, it's gone. Now it will not show any help. Similarly, pin, if I trying to type some pin, if it is showing some tip, means it is already have in the history. I delete from history, it will not show. So similarly for mobiles, this is all coming from history. You can delete the history. But actually, sometimes even you delete from history, it should be displayed. It should be displayed permanently. That is generally you see in Google search and all. So while you are typing, according to you, the characters you are typing, it will hint you the other options which you can select. It is not history, it is permanently present. For example, see. So I will add here how to create such data list. I will show you. Better, I will do one simple. For example, you are searching for cities. You are trying to enter the city, select a city and all such things. So I will show you. Let's create a new option, a new form. So I will just create a new form. Yeah. So in public, I'm adding a new. So that is some google.html. And here I'm just designing simple. So doc type HTML head, and title some Google. And in the body section, I'm adding a div. So, and here align as center. And inside this, we have a heading. So some Google. And we have a text box. Input type is equal to text. And size is equal to some 40. And here we put a paragraph. Inside that we have a button. So button is like Google search. So something like this we define. Actually, it is going to display this and show. Now what we want to do here, it's just an ordinary simple option. Inside this text box, when I am typing something, I want relative help to display. Actually, we have to get it from the database and show it, but initially we will simply hard code the value and we can display the value. So basic hard coding the value and displaying the value. So what we will do now, so this is, so for the data list, below the text box, I'm using a element called data list. This data list contains options. It contains an option. In that option, I'm giving HTML tutorial. Okay. And another option, JavaScript examples. And another option, so CSS examples. Another option, like this, we are creating options. Currently, we are writing options manually. Later, we are going to get these options from a database. In server-side technologies, we will get it and use it. So here I said some JavaScript tutorial, and here we created an option like CSS projects, and here I created an option called CSS tutorial. Okay, and another option like HTML projects, something like this. Now this data list must have a unique reference, because in a particular page, in a specific page, there can be so many data lists. In a page, there can be so many data lists. So every data list must be independent, individual. Then you should not give a name, because name can be common. We will give ID. ID for data list is topics. Topics is the ID. That means we can refer this data list by using the topics ID. Now our text box should use this topics. That means now text box input type text box can use an attribute called list. So which list? What is the list? List ID is topics. Remember, you can keep this list anywhere you want. It's not mandatory that you have to keep it just below the text box. You can keep anywhere and refer it. So I'm keeping somewhere, and I can refer by using ID. And what is the ID? ID, generally we use hash, but here we don't need, just we have to use the ID name, topics. So that means the list is referred. So by using the ID reference name, just you have to use topics. So list is a text box attribute. What this list text box attribute? It is used to define a data list for text box. Data list contains options to display. See what will happen now. If I attach that data list to this text box, now when I go here, I click inside the text box, you see all that help comes. And not only that, when I am typing like tutorial, only tutorial related topics will come. HTML tutorial, JavaScript tutorial, CSS, you can select from there. Remember, this is not a drop down. What is difference between a drop down is, drop down will not allow to type. It will allow to only choose. This is not a drop down. For example, see, so I'm having here a drop down. Suppose in the format font option, here in the format font option, you see script, there is a drop down. In the drop down, you can select an option. You cannot type anything there. It will not allow to type anything. It is not drop down. So it should allow to type. That means it's a text box. It's a text box. It allows you to type. And when you are typing like projects, it will get that help related to projects. And you can simply select it. Or you can click this arrow, and so you remove it and you click this arrow. It will get the information about all of them. Even you delete the history, this is present. Even you delete the history, this is present permanently. That is the advantage of it. So that is the advantage of this data list. So we have to create a data list, and we have to attach that data list to this page, So that is how we need to manage. So usually what we have to do, so syntactically to design this, so we need a text box. So input type is equal to text, and so this is having a list. List is referring to topics, and actually topics is nothing but a data list with ID topics. And inside the data list we have to create option. And so here some topic 1, that is an option. You can add some topics like option 2, option topic 2, another option. So you can configure this, and you can close the data list here. You can add any number of. That means whenever you are trying to type some text inside the text box, then according to the relevant content, it can show you the help. If there is any help, you can select. If not, you can continue typing your text. This is actually the list attribute. So these are all the attributes for text box. These are all the attributes for text box. Only for text box, the attributes. Remember, text box colors, effects, and all these things you can change with CSS. According to your requirements, configurations, you can change them and you can define them. In CSS, you will learn about that. Basically, the text box comprises of these options. Many times people ask some question like, can I have a symbol, icon symbols in the text box, icons in the text box? You cannot have icons or symbols in the text box. Actually, that is done by using CSS. By using CSS, we can put it. For example, sometimes people don't know clearly the concept. So see, suppose I open Amazon. You see in Amazon, we have a text box. And right side, you can see there is a search button. Many people ask like, how I can put search button inside text box? Remember, search button is not inside text box. It is right side text box attached to text box. Looks like it is a part of text box. But you should know that it is a part, it is not inside text box. It is attached to text box. That type of effect we can do later. So that means don't think like we can have some symbols inside text box. We cannot have symbols inside text box, icons inside text box. You can have icons left or right, and you can display them in such a way that it looks like it is inside text box, but you cannot have that. For example, suppose see here, beside this input, I'm using a span. Suppose we are linking bootstrap icons. Link relation is equal to style sheet. So link href is equal to, so node modules, bootstrap icons, font, bootstrap icons, CSS. And inside the span, I'm giving class BI and BI search. I'm giving search. You can see that. So a search symbol will come. You can see search symbol will come. And actually, these two are present. These two are present in a div. Those two are present in a div. So, and you see for this text box we are having. So the text box we are having, see, I'm writing a style. For the style, so I'm configuring the style. Okay. In the style, so wherever input is present, I am removing border as none. I am removing border. That means border is removed. And what we do is, so wherever the div is present, that means this div have a ID as search. Okay, I am using hash search. And for that, I am giving border as, so 1 pixel solid, and I will give as padding as 5 pixel. Now you can see that it looks like this. And I'm adjusting the width as some 400 pixels. Now it is adjusting the width like this. I'm adjusting the width to 300 pixels. Then it looks like this. You can adjust, so like 500 or 600 pixels, it will display like this. Now we can move this text box width also. Size I given as some 60. So that means text box width is increased. Now you see, I click inside it. So it looks like inside the text box. But actually it is not inside the text box, it is beside the text box. Like that, we can design appearance later, not now. So for that, a lot of things are required. That means you may feel like there is an icon inside text box, but there is not icon inside text box. It is icon beside the text box. We make it look like that. That is actually through CSS we can do. So if you have any doubt like how to keep a symbol inside text box, forget about that. It's not possible. Because text box will not allow any special symbols. So that means you cannot have symbols or icons inside the text box. It is RC data type, raw text type. You can display only plain text, numbers, and characters. So you cannot display such symbols. We can do that in a different approach. We can configure that. This is defining and designing the text box. Now, once you know how to handle a text box, Next, we have to know how to handle passwords, how to handle passwords, how to handle date times, how to handle other options. That we will see in our next session, right? We will discuss that in our next session. And in our next session, we will learn how to handle passwords. In these passwords, I will teach you pattern. Pattern means how to validate password, minimum 4 to 15 characters, one uppercase letter, like that. How to write validations for that. That we will discuss while working with the passwords. So in the next session, we will discuss. And tomorrow, no session. So on Diwali, so a very happy Diwali to you all. And tomorrow, no session. And again, our session will be on Friday. And mostly Friday, Saturday, online session will happen. And from Monday onwards, again, our offline sessions will start as usual. Okay, I will let you know about that on Saturday. Okay, so tomorrow, no session. Again, we will meet on Friday, right?